As much as I love Doctor Who, and as much as I love Peter Capitol's version of Doctor Who, he's one of my favorites. Peter Capital, not the 14th, the 15th Doctor, who played him in the newest season, the Disney Plus version, and Christopher Eccleston are all a lot of my favorite Doctors. But, I think I've just watched too much Doctor Who lately. It's one of my favorite shows, but 7 seasons of Doctor Who is enough for now, so I'm definitely taking a break. But here we go. Episode 1 was amazing. It had a really good plot twist. We get the Daleks. They tease fucking Amy and Rory dying for like the 50th time. I could care less. It's just so stupid. Um, of course, they don't die. Um, One thing I don't understand is I'm pretty sure Rory is like that fucking robot thing now. And at some point they like take his blood. I guess that robot has blood or something. I don't know. Um, so we get this episode where this really smart girl helps the doctor beat the Daleks, which is just impossible. Not even he can hack the Dalek stuff. Well, it turns out she was actually a Dalek this whole time and didn't realize it. Really good episode. Loved the fucking plot twist. Just an insane episode. Dinosaurs are on a spaceship was kind of decent. Um, Showed the doctor not having mercy for once. We get dinosaurs again in the first episode of the next season. I remember that, even though I haven't watched it yet. So, honestly, feels kind of pointless that they have dinosaurs here already. But I'm sure they'll use them in a different way. Um, just a fine episode. The next episode's like a cowboy episode where a guy did this really terrible thing and he decides to atone for his sins near the end of the episode. It's just kind of generic, in my opinion. The next episode was honestly really fun. The fourth episode, a bunch of black cubes come to Earth, and the doctor has to find out what they are, but they seemingly do nothing. So he has to sit there and do nothing, and we see all these things he does to try and keep himself busy eventually. Like he vacuums, he plays games, he does sports and all that shit. And it's only been like an hour past, and he's just so frustrated. We also get the guy that plays Ronald Weasley's dad in the Harry Potter movies as Rory's dad in this. He's pretty cool. Next episode is about the Weeping Angels, and they kill off Amy and Rory for good, finally. No, it sounds harsh, but I just did not care for their characters. I know they're some fan favorites, but I didn't like them. I didn't like them. I didn't even know that there was another Weeping Angels episode. I just thought they did one for Tennant and one for Smith, but it's really cool to see them again. I thought the Statue of Liberty thing was really cool, but they didn't really do much with that. With the Weeping Angels being the fucking Statue of Liberty was awesome. Also, I didn't know that Clara was in this season. I don't know why, but I always thought she was the 12th Doctor's companion. But I've seen 2 episodes that she was in this season. A lot of these are new to me. But the Day of the Doctor has her in it, and I've seen that before. And the season finale has it, her in it, and I've seen it before. So I was really surprised that I didn't know she wasn't in this season. That she was in this season. The next episode is about Clara again. She dies again. Um, it's pretty cool. I like how the Doctor tricked them, but it's kind of hit or miss for me. A lot of Matt Smith's episodes are, and it's nothing against him. I mean, he embodies the Doctor. He has a lot of my favorite lines. He's a very good Doctor. I just don't like a lot of his episodes. Some of his episodes are extremely good, though. I think he definitely peaked, though, in his second season, in season 6. The next one has Clara again, and she dies again. There's some snowman stuff, a character that appears twice more in this season, so he's important later, but I didn't really care for him. It's just fine. I don't want to sound like a hater since Doctor Who's one of my favorite shows, but I just don't care for a lot of this season. Then the next episode's really cool. You almost think nothing's gonna go wrong, but it's Doctor Who, so something has to go wrong. He takes Clara to this alien planet. They meet all these nice aliens, but they have this like religious thing about sacrificing people, and they try and sacrifice a child. So the Doctor intervenes and they save her. It's a mediocre episode. I did like a lot of it though, but I did not like the fact that, as far as we know, Clara doesn't know the Doctor's age at this point. This is like her first trip with him. But she says, "You're 1,000 years old. You must have something you care about." But he's never mentioned her age before, his age before. To Claire, anyway. He's done it with Amy and other characters, but not to her. The next episode was a little bit silly. They're in a sinking submarine. The humans naturally attack the new thing because humans are dickheads. So now this thing wants to end the world. The Doctor talks it out of doing that. Just a pretty decent episode. For once, one of the side characters I liked didn't die. There's this older, nicer guy that you think is probably going to die, but he doesn't. Next episode after that is like this ghost episode, but not really. Doctor and this girl with some powers travel back in time somewhat to save this girl. It's kind of confusing, kind of fun. We see that Clara is not like Amy and Rory and sometimes just wants to stay put, even though they break that later in this very season. She just kind of wants to stay put, and the Doctor has to convince her to go. She really does not want to go because she's scared of the ghost, or what she thinks is a ghost, which we find out later it's not. Journey to the center of TARDIS becomes somewhat relevant to later episodes, but it's just kind of fine in my opinion. I did like the start of it. The fact that the Doctor was nervous and had Claire take the shields down, but that's what ended up messing them up and having Ravengers take them in. The Crimson Horror is an episode where a mother tortures her daughter and experiments on her, supposedly for the greater good. And when she's dying, she tries to convince her daughter to forgive her, which she does not. And then the Doctor's like red for some of the episode. It's kind of weird because that's like the experiment she's doing on them or something. Very weird. Nightmare in Silver is a episode about this abandoned planet. Like, you gotta pay for certain things. They bring back the Cybermen. There's a guy willing to end the world. He tries to get Clara to marry him, even though he's like barely knows her, and then makes a joke about executing her. Very strange episode. They try and make the Cybermen look like a bigger threat. The Cybermen have always seemed like a big threat, though they usually never do anything that bad as of right now. I know they do later, though, but I won't mention that. So, just a typical Cybermen episode. There's an episode about how the Doctor has a secret he'll take to his grave, and it's discovered. This guy tries to rewrite his timeline to make the Doctor miserable. It fails. So the Doctor and Clara also go into the timeline thing or whatever. Weird. So Clara has now technically met all the Doctors, the War Doctor, the First Doctor, the Fourth Doctor, the Fifth Doctor, every single one of them. She's met at some point and knows their faces. Then we get the 50th anniversary special, the Day of the Doctor, where they bring back not Matt Smith, they bring back David Tennant. And then we have John Hurt as the War Doctor. He did really good. I still would have preferred Christopher Eccleston, but he did not like the direction they had for his character and did not want to return, so he didn't. So he doesn't return, which kind of sucks. Still a really fun episode. Rose isn't Rose in this episode. She takes the form, the consciousness of the thing he's going to use to destroy Gallifrey has a conscience, and it decides to take the face of someone he's known before, but this version of the Doctor doesn't even know her, because apparently the consciousness got it mixed up and doesn't know when his future or past is. So she's Rose, but her name is Bad Wolf or whatever. It's kind of cool seeing her back, but if you had heard the way I had talked about her in my reviews of the first season, the second season, I wasn't the biggest fan of Rose. She wasn't the nicest character, but I have nothing against Billie Piper, so seeing her back was pretty cool. They show us that Peter Capaldi is going to be the next Doctor, yet a few specials later, they act as if the Doctor's going to be gone for good. No, you fucking spoiled it yourself, you dumbass show. Pretty stupid. They show that this isn't the end, and then they spend a whole episode trying to tell you this is the end. They show Peter Capaldi very briefly in the Day of the Doctor to show that he's going to be the next Doctor. And then they spend an episode telling you how Matt Smith is the last Doctor. Then the final episode of the show, the exact episode I was just talking about, is an episode where the Doctor gets old and he talks about how this is his last regeneration. And, he regenerates to Peter Capaldi. Because of fucking course he does. Don't know why they tried to convince us he didn't when they had shown in the previous special that he wasn't gonna die. I had actually seen this episode before, and I had saw the marketing for this episode when it came out, which I was really surprised by. He regenerates back to his young self, and then he regenerates to Peter Capaldi. For once, they don't really show the regeneration in changing form. The camera kind of cuts away, and he's suddenly Peter Capaldi. Weird way to do it. He has a goodbye speech, and he says he will always remember when the Doctor was me, which, pretty decent speech. Definitely preferred David Tennant's and Christopher Eccleston's, though. Nothing wrong with his speech. It's a pretty good line, but I wish it would have felt more in character. It's just more of a goodbye to the fans than anything else. It's yeah, it's sad that I'm going, but you'll always remember when it was me. And that's it. That's season 7. I don't know when I'm gonna continue watching the show, but I'm gonna take a break for a while.